everybody. We're going to take a quick look at how to use Microsoft Forms to kindly and conveniently have parents register for map testing or really anything else that you want to use. So I believe the actual website you'd be using is like forms.office.com, but I can never remember it, so I always just Google Microsoft Forms, and there we have it, office.com with forms right there. And you can basically go ahead and click on new form. I believe new quiz is the same thing, but I always end up clicking that arrow there. And it's going to open up to creating a new form here. And this is basically just going to be, something that you're going to have someone fill out and put information in. So you can name this something like map registration, March 22 testing. And then what you're going to do is you're going to add in questions here. Now I want to show you a couple of these question types that you can add in. Your first instinct, well, first of all, you should always make sure that you're going to add in a text option where they can put in student name. It's always worthwhile to mention that they should put in first and last name, because sometimes parents think that, just because they're filling in something online, it's going to know exactly who they are and assume what their last name is. So make sure that they're putting in student name right there. And then you might want to actually, you might think that, hey, I'm going to choose date for when they're going to sign up for math tests. But what that means is, you notice, like, the person who's inputting the answers here, they're going to get to input a date of their choice. And if you have a specific kind of list of dates that you want them to use, you probably really don't want to do this option. So instead, you might want to just go with a multiple choice answer here, where you can add a number of options. So you might, put in the dates that you have math testing available, and clarify what the options are. So if you're just really testing on one day, and then have a makeup day, I am registering for centralized testing. And then you'd include the link right here. So, this is basically a campus that has a math test on March 4th. That's really the day that you want them to sign up for. You acknowledge that sometimes March 4th doesn't work for families, so they can also sign up for March 18th. And then if they can't sign up for either of those days, maybe you are down with having families do the virtual centralized testing that I'll be doing. That's up to you. You can put in options here that you want to. What day are, we can put this from a parent's perspective. I am registering for math for the math test on this day. And we want to make sure that this is a required, and actually we probably want to make sure that our first one has a required answer as well. And then we're going to basically do this exact same thing. So we can go ahead and we can copy this question. We're going to change it reading, math to reading. We're going to change our test day from March 4th to March 11th. Keep these other kind of options the same. And we also want one more question about the student survey. When will your student take the student survey? And you can put in kind of your options here. And you can make this what you want it to be, what it is for your campus, whatever is appropriate. Once you've kind of set this up, you're basically good to go. This form is now there and it's created. You don't need to really do anything to publish it. So you can click on share here, and there's something really important that you want to do while you're sharing, is that you want to change this to anybody can respond. Really, really important to do that. Otherwise, this isn't going to work for your parents and your families. And so that you can go ahead and copy this link and find different ways to share this. But once you've shared this link with families, which is, what you can put kind of in that email that you send them, I'll show you what it looks like on their side. So we're going to log in. I'm using an incognito here so that it doesn't think that I'm logged into my Microsoft account. And then I could sign in as my student here, and so I'm here as Julius Caesar, who is taking the March 4th math, the reading on March 11th, and kiddo's going to do student survey as early as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and submit the answer there. And we don't need this anymore. That's kind of what it looked like from the parent side. And you see automatically I've actually received a response here which I can look at. And that's all good and fine to look at it on here if you want to, but this gives you summary information, which I don't really care about. So instead what we're going to do is go ahead and open this in Excel. And you can do this, basically at any time. So probably I wouldn't, do this sort of at the end of each week and check like, hey, who is registered, who hasn't registered, and then kind of at the beginning of March. And then you can use this information to compare it against your roster. That Excel sheet's taking a moment to wake up, so just give me a moment here. But basically, this Excel sheet's going to have your answers basically just in rows and columns, and so that you can actually take this information, compare it against your roster, and make sure that you have all your parents registered. They've acknowledged essentially that they've read your email, and they are ready to go. Give this just one more moment. I don't know why my Excel is taking quite so long today. Probably because I have these other Excel sheets open. There we go. So now we only have one entry. These first columns here, you're going to have to click on Enable Editing to change anything because it's been downloaded. It's finicky about that. So we'll click on Enable Editing here, which will let us do anything. And these first columns here are just sort of like metadata from the Microsoft Forms website itself. We don't really need this information unless you super care about like when they registered and things like that, which is actually maybe helpful, right? If you want to dispute, they're like, oh, I registered on the 3rd of February. No, you didn't. You don't super need any of this information. The email is anonymous, right? Because I signed in from a remote location or from an incognito location. Whereas if I was signed into my account, you'd see my Microsoft account there. But then over here to the right in these last columns are the questions that you put in and how you put them in. And then of course you can just use these filter information to filter by students, which can help you to organize an actual test day as well. That's about it.